What up, everybody? Zeta Zulu back at it again with another review for you. And today, got something a little weird. Like, it's a third-party figure by a Chinese company whose name I have not been able to find out yet, but it's their take on a Figma-styled Widowmaker. And I figured, seeing as we're getting Widowmaker in December, I want to pick this figure up so I can compare the two when they come out, or when the official Figma Widowmaker comes out. Now, this doesn't count as a knockoff because she came out first, essentially, but is a third-party figure in general. So, I actually like this figure. Fair enough. I do have some problems with it. Like, they could have picked better joint colors for like her arms and shoulders and whatnot. But they did a pretty good job and this is their first run, so kudos to them. Hats off to you guys. So technically her name is basically number 01 Black Lily, but we all know this is basically Widowmaker from Overwatch. So she's decently sculpted everywhere. Like her visor looks really good. Her hair has this lovely black wash through it. Her tattoo on her back is done really nice. Her tattoo on her arm is done really nice, although I feel like it's supposed to be on the... Oh no, it's also on the inside of her arm. Like, if I remembered French or could read, I would totally tell you guys what that is, but I think it's supposed to be like nightmare in French or something like that. Heard that in a comic somewhere. But like all this lovely sculpted detail that they have going on through her, like they did a wonderful job representing her, like in all of the parts that they made specifically. Like, only gripe though kind of is like with her face, it kind of has like a kind of dead stare look, and then with one of her other faces, as you'll see, it's kind of like part of the accessory is like off a little bit, but it's getting opposability. First we'll start with her hair. Her hair is on like a joint, so can rotate, go up and down on the joint, or if you were to orient the joint differently, like you can get it to go side to side, so her ponytail can go side to side, whatnot, wherever you feel like you need. I'm more a fan of the typical up and down. Her head can look up that far, down that far. It can essentially go 360. Her shoulders are on a ball joint in the socket, and then a rotation at the joint. So her arm can go a full 360, go out that far. Her elbow is on a singular Figma style hinge, so you get about 90 degrees. And then her wrist is on a very similar kind of hinge joint setup, so get like up and down or rotation, whatever you need, whatnot. Now, she has a ball joint up here at like her pecs area, so you can get some rotation there. There's somewhat of a ball joint at the waist, but because of how it's sculpted back here, you're not really getting your bend out of here, and if you do, it looks kind of weird. But it's enough of that. Her legs can kick forward and kind of get around rotation wise. They can go back kind of far. There's no like real, like you can get a thigh rotation, but that's just because this is on a ball joint, but there's no like thigh swivel or anything like that. A double jointed knee, which works really well. Like, if she was an active combatant, she could just jump and knee you in the face. And her ankles are just on a hinge, so they can go forward and back, rotate slightly, and you get your tilts and you get a little bit of rotation in general. So she has really good posability, but one thing is like she is very long, and so it's kind of hard for her to balance and stand. Like you can't just plop her down and boom, she's standing. You gotta kind of work for it. Like I'll put it back so you guys can see how I'm trying to work with her stuff. And that's the other thing. Like a lot of her joints are just really loose, so that also contributes to this problem. Let's see if we can just get her to stand normally for a hot second. And like she is very pointy in her legs, which is accurate to Widow's design anyways. I get her just neutral standing. There we go. Alright. So accessory wise, she comes with her rifle in both of its modes, but there are two separate ones. So you have the assault rifle mode, and then get another one that's her sniper rifle mode, which both have some really good detail going all through there, like those little red paint apps in there, the silver, the gunmetal, all really well done. Like these are really good accessories. The only problem that I've seen, or the complaint I've heard of these, is that they seem a bit too big for this figure, like just sizing them wise, like they do seem kind of thick. Like that's a thick handle for her to hold, which she can do. Just essentially get her hand to wrap around there and then get the trigger finger in there. And like when I originally got this figure a few months ago, it was a tight hold, but it's gotten a little loose. But once you get in there, it's pretty good. Get her to kind of cradle the barrel a little bit. Oop. It's hard to get it, like a proper snipe, but that's pretty good, I would say. Really nice, got her standing. Now she does come with 3 extra hands, essentially a finger bang hand, just really nice detail there. She has a trigger finger for the left hand, so in theory you could have her wielding both of her rifles at the same time, which would be weird. And she has a very not game accurate hand, but a very Widowmaker hand for her character. Just, oh no, just la pow, if you. Excuse the bad French accent. I should be better at that. I took French in high school. Alright. And then her last accessory is a swappable face for her visor. And there she go again. And you can see what I mean. Like, it feels a little off center. Like, it's tilted towards, like, the right a little bit. So, like, there's not, like, an even gap between, like, it and her nose or whatever. So, like, we can swap that on really quick. It's not hard to do. I'm going to take her rifle out of her hand real quick. And then just get her arms down. Just pull her face off. Just one simple kind of T-peg. Or T-chunk. If it's in the T-hole. And then just put the new face on. And now she's basically activated her ultimate. And she has you in her sights. Well, that's Soldier's line, but you know what I mean. She'll find you. Them spider eyes. Now, I'm going to do swapping the hand last, because this, as you can see, you wouldn't want your joint coming off of the body, but it's what you'd have to deal with. So just get your thumb in there, kind of pull it out, swap on a new hand. That's for left. Deck Flabbit. She really only has like one right hand, huh? Dag Flabbit Widow. Alright, hold on. We'll do this for the other side instead. Alright, let's get that back on there. And just, like, it goes back in rather easily. Alright, so we'll pull it out. Like, I guess it would be easier just to pull out the joint and then get your fingers in there so you can pull the hand off and then swap on a new hand. And you just gotta make sure you get your peg in the hole proper, which is gonna be a problem because this joint likes to bend on you. And what would make a process like this a bit easier is if you were to like warm up your like get a hair dryer, heat the holes in the hand up a bit so it become more malleable. Oh geez, let's just prime. And we're back. Sorry for the cut. The joint, like the wrist joint, actually broke on me. That was a bit of a surprise, but the show must go on. That is just a note to all people who do pick this up. Do be careful when swapping hands. You could break your wrist joint, and this does not come with any extras. Luckily, me having collected a bunch of Figmas, I did have an extra wrist joint, since most Figmas provide you an extra joint. And coincidentally, took mine from the Figma tracer. And it does work, but the pegs, these pegs are very thin, while the typical Figma peg is a bit thicker. So you can get it in there, but it is a snug, tight fit. So just be wary of that if you do pick this figure up. Now, since we're basically at the end, I'm going to swap the face back and just going to get in some size comparisons, and then we'll call it an evening. So, let me get her standing upright once more. Thought it was just the wrist and not like an ankle joint that broke. That'd be upsetting. Get her just fully standing. Come on. Get your knees and everything nice and oriented. I'm so sorry, half this review has just been me just trying to get her to stand properly. But that is a legitimate concern and thing you'll need to note when handling this figure. She does have a tougher time standing. So first off, we'll compare her to kind of her Overwatch rival, the official Figma Tracer, and she towers over Tracer. Like Tracer is shorter than her canonically, like in game and whatnot, but this is just ridiculous. Funny, but ridiculous. So she doesn't scale super well with your Overwatch Figmas, and here's just her with an Nendoroid Tracer, just because that's adorable. I'll get her big-headed butt to stand. Yeah, she only comes up to like mid-thigh at best. So yeah, this was the third-party Chinese-produced Widowmaker named Black Lily. Not to be confused with her Chinese New Year skin, Black Lily, which is kind of funny to me. So I picked this up from essentially an eBay seller for about $50 before shipping. And if you do want to pick up this figure, just note she is usually going to go for like 30 something, with maybe some like $15-20 shipping. But check when they say when it'll get here, because if it says over 30 days, I would not trust that. Like over 30 days and from China, I would not trust, because quick side story, I have been scammed like that for like trying to get a figure for saw it for a relatively fair price, was coming from China, so it would take about 30 days. Never got here, and I never got my money back. RIP me. But if you see it for around 50-ish bucks, and the seller is like, they can be from China, but if it says it's going to take more than a month, I would be hesitant. But if it's only going to take like a week or two, I'd say fair deal, go for it. Just be wary of your wrist joints, and that it is hard, it is hard to get those small pegs in here into these holes. Like, well, let me focus on that a little bit. Like, that is a deep hole, but it is very small. and stuff like that. So if you want to swap your hands, heat the plastic, a hair dryer, soak it in some hot water, whatever. It'll soften up the plastic. You can maybe get in there with something else, like widen the hole a little bit, stick your peg in there, soften up, like while it's soft still, just like squish it back a little and then like cool it, and you should be good. But yeah, that's Zeta Zulu signing out. Deuces.